All right, everybody, we are back on another market close. Hope everyone's doing good. It's been a fun day. And the reason it's been a fun day is because for the first time since August 2021, I'm looking at a screen that shows me that Palantir is 14 minutes away from closing at $26 for the first time since August 2021. This is pretty remarkable, folks. This is pretty remarkable. We had a long live stream today. So thank you to everyone who joined. We were here for about 4 hours watching the Jerome Powell testimony. And in the middle of that testimony, Palantir ended up cracking through that $26, and it actually sustained that $26 for really the majority of the day. We just were at $25.99 like 5 minutes ago. We cracked back up to $26.23. It looks like if all goes well in the next 13 minutes, Palantir will end the day at $26. And I just can't stress how monumental that is, that they're actually above $26. I mean, we have not seen a close above 26 again since August 2023. And there you go. Palantir is here and Palantir is ready. And they're starting to maybe have that bit of a, let's say, push into the 30s. It's like, I'm 26 years old. And so Palantir being at 26 is really funny because it's like I feel 26 is younger than 27. And what I mean by that is like the 7 attached to the 2 is way different than the 6 attached to the 2. And so I feel like you get closer to 30 when you're 27 versus 26. Now I know everyone's in the chat's like, yeah, stupid, because 3 is less than 4. I get it. But like there's this feeling that when you're 27, you're closer to 30 than at 26. So I'll be 27 in October. So I'll start to push 30. And it looks like Palantir by October, if this thing keeps up the way it's keeping up, they're going to be pushing 30 with me. We are literally going to be growing together. And it's just so exciting to see what's happening right here. Kelly in the chat says, oh God, here we go. I was on the phone with her last night. I was like, 27 feels closer to 30 than 26. And she was like, yeah, because it's fucking closer to 30. And I was like, no, but you don't get it. Like there's a certain feeling with 27. But anyway, okay. So why is this happening right now? Why is Palantir at this level? For those that missed the news today, if you were maybe living under a rock and you didn't really see what was going on with Palantir, if you're not on Palantir Twitter, you got to get on Twitter and make sure you follow everyone that's covering Palantir. Essentially, Palantir did 2 things. Number one, there's actually a couple other things that happened, but here are the 2 things they did today. They got a Titan contract. This Titan contract is $1.5 billion over 5 years, and Palantir was selected by the Army to do $178 million. Out of that $1.5 billion. It's one of the many phases of this contract they're going to be completing over the next essentially like 4 or 5 years. And this was a 2-year contract, $178 million, and Palantir got it. Now Palantir beat Raytheon to be able to get this deal. This was not an easy deal to get. Palantir had to fight for this deal, and they beat Raytheon to get it, which is why it was really, really exciting that Palantir actually was successful enough to get this deal. And so this was the big thing that happened this morning, and this got the street very excited. Now, on top of that, not only did Palantir do that, they also said, hey, tomorrow we're dropping AIPCon. AIPCon is happening tomorrow. I'll be streaming it live on this YouTube channel 1 p.m. And this AIPCon will have a bunch of new customers. Palantir has mentioned they had 850 AIP boot camps since they launched. Arnie just tweeted that on Q4, they said they had 500 boot camps. So if you do the math, if in February they had up to 500 boot camps and now they have 850 since February 5th, and right now it's literally, March 6th, 1 month since Q4, that's a 70% growth rate month over month on boot camps alone. You assume a 25 to 35% client conversion on those boot camps. You're looking at a lot of customers. I mean, right now we're at 497 customers. You just take 25, 30%, which the conversion might even be higher than that on top of those 850 or those 350 new boot camps we did this month alone. This is going to be a big deal. We know they have a boot camp in Zurich that's coming up this month for insurance and AI in the enterprise. We know they have a boot camp in London in April for insurance as well. They've had a boot camp in India with Accenture, so we've already gone international. And then Palantir said Detroit, Chicago, New York City, and Washington, D.C. is where they've had a lot more boot camps since they got started. OpenAI is going to be one of the companies that is a partner with Palantir. They're not a customer of Palantir, but they're one of the partners working with Palantir at the AIP conference tomorrow. So we might hear from them. Lowe's, 8VC, a bunch of the CAS investments, a bunch of these companies basically showing off how they're using AIP tomorrow. Now, here was another really big thing that happened today, and then we'll talk about Bank of America. AIPCon, this is the poster that Palantir put out for AIPCon. And so that must be bootcamp customers, right? Not bootcamp sessions. Yeah, Saskia, I'm pretty sure that's bootcamp customers. So 850 actual clients. They're not like literal bootcamps, because literal bootcamps can have many, many customers inside of them. So AIPCon, the you might not be able to read the title, but the title is Compressing Time and Space. I don't know what the heck Palantir means by compressing time and space, but it does seem like it's going to be something around the space-time continuum, meta constellation. There's going to be something that happens with Palantir in regards to showing off really, really unique software in an interesting way. And I think this is going to be one of the most wild conferences we've ever seen. I think this is why Alex Karp says, these are rock star concerts, because these are not your typical software enterprise concerts. These are concerts that gather a crowd because they're actually interesting. They're actually exciting. And it seems like Palantir is going to put up a pretty big show tomorrow in terms of what they're going to do with AIP Bootcamp. So that's going to be really interesting as well to see what happens on tomorrow at 1 p.m. What earnings do we have today? We don't really have a lot of earnings, guys. I looked at the earnings chart today. None of these companies, Victoria's Secret is today. I don't know if anyone, but I'm looking at everything else. There's like nothing else that's interesting. Let me know in the chat if there's anything interesting, but Victoria's Secret is the only one I'm looking at that like is a name that people even like kind of know. So other than that, it's just a bunch of other random companies. The Honest Company, I think that's Jessica Alba's thing. That's also today. Okay, so those were the big news. Those were the big piece of news from Palantir. And then we got one of the most exciting price target upgrades I've seen in a very long time. 8 minutes till the market close. Palantir right now, 26.06. Bank of America's Mariana has officially said Palantir should not have a $24 price target, should not have an $18 price target, which is what she had when the street had a price target of 13. She bumped it up to 24 when the street had a price target of 18. She says, nope, they should have a $28 price target. Why is this the case? The primary argument that Mariana is saying is that Titan represents a shift from the DoD from prime contractors being hardware-based to software-based. Remember, this is a prime contract. For those that don't know what a prime contract is, it just means a contract the DoD is like procuring from vendors that are like A-plus vendors that like they almost don't even have any competition. These are like the DoD calls you up, the Army calls you up, the military calls you up, you get the job done, right? You don't really have to fight to be able to prove that you're worthy of getting the contract. For a software company to put up a battle against the hardware company, i.e. Raytheon, which does software as well, but to actually beat these guys, given the political influence Raytheon has, a bunch of people on Raytheon's board have been, in Congress before, all this stuff have been generals. For them to actually win just means they were better. And this is why Palantir sued the Army back in 2011. It was ironic. I was actually listening to Karp last night to speak about this at one of his old keynotes, where he was like, the reason we sued the Army was to prove to entrepreneurs in America that there is still meritocracy that exists when it comes to procurement. And it's not just all based on politics. And that decision, basically 10 years ago at this point, almost 14 years ago, is the reason for why Palantir is able to get these deals today, because politics is not dictating it. It is going to be based on meritocracy. And Palantir seems to have the best product that exists. So that was the big news for today. New price target on the street. Mariana upgraded Palantir now 26.15, up 9.78%. Think Real, thank you for the $20 super chat. Go Palantir, keep up the great work. Amit, thank you for that super chat. That super chat's going right into the public fund, and we'll be buying more Palantir. 26.12 right now. Let's look at some of these other companies, and then we'll see what happens when the market closes. By the way, at 4 p.m., Shyam Sankar will be on CNBC. It might not be literally at 4 p.m., might be at 4:05, 4:10, but I have that queued up, and we'll be ready to go to watch what he has to say, probably talking about this contract, why it's important, and ultimately what it's going to mean for Palantir's trajectory going forward. So here we go. We've got Palantir at 26.15. We are 5 minutes away from them closing at $26 for the first time since August 2021, which is, it's just insanity. It's really awesome to see how that's going to play out. SoFi, I did buy more SoFi today, guys. I bought a ton of $10 leaps, and I bought $20 leaps. So I bought a crap ton of SoFi. It's down. Didn't really have a rebound that I thought it would have. It's only up 1.38% of the day. I talked to a lot of people, called up a bunch of friends that I trust, talked about them on SoFi. A lot of them tripled their positions. Look, you don't want to buy things that are super green. Like You don't want to be buying the stocks that have just exploded today, and stocks have exploded. Nvidia almost touched $900 at one point. SoFi is not only not exploded, it's down 16% from yesterday. I know it's up 1% right now, but I do think this thing is unwarranted. On Finance Junkies tonight, me and Chris will discuss a little bit more what's the problem with SoFi or why they did this whole capital raise. But I think it's cheap, dude. I think even if SoFi rebounds to $10 and I get rid of the options, they're going to be a good trade. So to me, I think that is pretty cheap. But Bitcoin right here, 67,339. The reason Bitcoin is at 67,000 is because the inflows are starting to become enormous on these ETFs. Yesterday, BlackRock brought in $788 million alone. The overall ETFs brought in about $642 million. When you subtract Grayscale's $332 million in outflows. So you're seeing a lot more momentum. Michael Saylor is getting ready to buy up another $600 million. And also Arizona became the first state in the United States of America to say that they're going to allow pension funds in Arizona. I have this right here. Yeah, they are going to allow pension funds to now add Bitcoin to their portfolios. This is from the Arizona State Senate. They have expressed potential legitimacy around getting spot Bitcoin ETFs to the state's retirement portfolio. Oh, so this is the entire state's retirement portfolio. You're going to have a lot of actors like this, I believe, over the next few months that are going to realize, hey, this thing's serious. We should probably start allocating capital to this. And if they're going to start allocating capital to this, again, that's just going to be more buy-side pressure on Bitcoin. And even if there's going to be some sell-side pressure, you got to really think who's selling when all this momentum's coming in. And if they are selling, like we saw yesterday, we went from 69 to 59. That dip got eaten up within less than 24 hours. It's pretty phenomenal, the amount of demand that has existed for Bitcoin over the past 24 hours and really over the past couple of months. And we're seeing that with the ETFs start to legitimize this asset even more. Now, New York Community Bank, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with this one. New York Community Bank got halted and it fell to $1.80 today. Why? Because they put out a plan that says they're raising $1 billion to be able to save the company, which means they're going to have to do a ton of dilution. Like, it was not good. So the headline is they're raising $1 billion from a group of investors, including former U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. So they're raising private capital. They're diluting shareholders. The stock fell basically like 70%. It's back up 100% from the lows. It's up 7% of the day. If you just saw this chart, it would almost seem as if nothing happened today, but it fell pretty badly. I mean, it got to a point where it was just in a horrible, horrible situation. And it's really interesting to kind of see how that happens. As you can see right here on this chart, it was at $4.18 this morning. It fell to $1.70. And now it's back up to $3.45. So if you looked at this and you didn't really keep up with the story, it would almost be as if nothing ever happened. I don't know why it went up, 100% from the lows at 170, because everyone thought this thing is absolutely going under and that regional banks are going to collapse. Or not going to collapse, but this regional bank is going to collapse. But that didn't happen. It seems like investors bought up those shares, which was really interesting. Jay Powell talked today. We live streamed it. He didn't say anything interesting. In fact, he got questioned on his thoughts on Ukraine, climate change, and diversity and inclusion for the better part of 3 hours. So the market really didn't have anything to react to because he wasn't talking about anything other than, his political ideologies, which he kept saying he can't really give a response to, but the politicians kept asking him about it. So that was a nothing burger. If anything, he just said we're data driven and we'll see what happens at the end of the next couple cycles when we get more inflation data. Robinhood also great day, 1641 up 3% of the day. It hit a high of 1655, so recovered nicely. Yesterday was at 1570. I did buy the dip yesterday at 1574. Right now recovering 3% on the day. All right. Wednesday, March 6th. This is going to be a monumental day in Palantir history because for the first time since August 2021, ladies and gentlemen, it is 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed, and it seems like Palantir is closed over $26. Palantir is up after hours. It is officially closed 10% up on the day. Absolutely incredible by Palantir. This was not an easy thing to do. It is not easy to move up 10% in a day, and it's definitely not easy to be able to continue to make new 52-week highs after you went up 50% already for the year. Given how great their earnings results were. So the fact that they're actually pushing the barrier and getting to an even stronger level of support. Now, Palantir, what's support? 24? Before we thought it was 22. Now, if it falls to 24, that's a hell of a dip. If you go from 26.14 to 24. If you go to 23, that's a hell of a dip. Before 23 was like, all right, yeah, we're teetering between 23 and 24. At least it's not 16 anymore. Now it's like the expectations have increased. Palantir 26.29 after hours. Really, really incredible price action today. And it's one of those things that's like, look, you're invested in one of the most interesting companies in the world. And when those companies execute, the street reacts, and they have to react now, given Palantir here is at 26.20 after hours. Now, volume today was 203 million. This was the largest volume we've seen since February 8th, where it was a couple days after earnings, where we had 420 million. So we haven't had this much volume come into the company in a very long time. And so the reason we're getting that volume right now, obviously, is because this was a massive earnings day. Or not earnings day. It felt like an earnings day. It was a day where we had a massive contract, and that contract propelled investors to look more seriously at Palantir. Snowflake right now is at a $54.98 billion market cap. It was down 0.47% of the day. Palantir was up 10% of the day. They are a $56.8 billion market cap. The fact that we are only $1 billion above Snowflake, not SnowFi. I was combining SoFi and Snowflake. Above Snowflake in market cap just goes to show you how egregious the valuation has been on Snowflake and Palantir. Snowflake has been at a $20 billion delta in terms of market cap for the better half of 24 months. And so that delta has collapsed within about a couple of weeks. Snowflake is down 30%. They're now down 32% all time from their IPO. Palantir's up 187% from their IPO. They're up 10% of the day, and Palantir now $1 billion more valuable than Snowflake. S&P 500, 509. It was up 0.52% of the day. New York Community Bank up 2% of the day. Tesla had a nasty day. We'll talk about Tesla in a little bit. They're down 176, down 2%. Here's the big thing that was just incredible to see. It was just incredible to see. Daniel says, when do the ETFs buy Bitcoin, after hours or during the day? Usually during the day. I think they're somewhat allowed to buy after hours, but usually most of the inflows happen during the day. Look at the left-hand side of my screen and look at Mag 7. Look at Mag 7. Apple, 169. They're down. Microsoft, down a little bit. Meta, up a little bit, but relatively flat. Google, down 132. Amazon, down for the day. Nvidia, this was the only one that was up for the day, up 3%. Tesla, down 2%. The broader market did not collapse, i.e. the S&P 500, just because Mag 7 had a bad day outside of Nvidia. So this is really telling to me when I'm looking at the macroeconomic picture. What happens when Mag 7 has a rebound day? What happens when Apple's not 161 and it's 185 again? Because investors are like, what the fuck? Why don't we have Apple? Like, this is stupid. We should have Apple in our portfolio. Which, this is how the market operates. This is the stuff that happens. The fact that the S&P was able to maintain itself on a green day and not fall down, even though the 6 out of the 7 biggest stocks in the S&P pretty much rolled down, and the QQQ was up on today, up 0.63%. I think that goes to show you that we're in a new market, a market that is maybe broadening out the rally, and a market that is not that contingent anymore on Mag 7 being successful. Look at IWM. This broke out today a little bit up 0.71% at 205 right now. We're in the 200s. I mean, IWM getting a lot more inflows as well because investors are realizing that, hey, maybe these other sectors have more juice in them. SMH, the ETF that is heavily concentrated towards semis. One of my boys, Jose, says he doesn't even invest in the S&P anymore. He just invests in SMH. When he has free cash, he just throws it into this because he sees this as the next biggest sector over the next decade with AMD, NVIDIA, ASML, etc. That's up almost 30% year to date. It was up 2% on the day. It's an ETF. It's not even an equity. So we're seeing a lot more momentum in the broader market, and seeing Mag 7 not collapse the S&P, I think was a very big tail sign for equities doing well and for this market rally starting to broaden. Palantir 26.25 after hours, continuing to maintain its momentum. Shyam Sankar is not on CNBC yet. That's going to happen probably within the next 10 to 20 minutes. I'll keep an eye on that. That's not there yet, but we will have him probably soon enough. Let's get a little bit of coverage on what else is happening in the markets. Obviously, crypto had an incredible day, and crypto having an incredible day is also, I think, helping some of the market continue to see some momentum. Bitcoin right now is 66,975, rebounding from 59,000 last night as well. Who's Shyam Sankar? Raj, Shyam Sankar is the CTO of Palantir. Welcome to the channel. He is someone who is pretty important when it comes to the Palantir community. So now you know who Shyam Sankar is. SOXL works as well. Yep, SOXL is another ETF that also works as well when it comes to getting exposure to some of the semis. Jess and AK says it's not too late to buy Palantir. Just because it's all-time high doesn't mean it won't go higher. I agree. Look, Palantir today at 26.30 is simply different from even Palantir at 16 a couple months ago. And the reason for that is because they put up the numbers. And look, I know a lot of us have been buying since $6, $7, $8. So a lot of us have been kind of DCAing into the company. But the street now has the numbers to justify being able to buy. And for retail investors, that's a great thing, because if we were buying before the numbers justified it, then now we have a little bit more legitimacy because the street tends to buy. But also, if you want to buy, you can feel more comfortable buying Palantir now because the numbers justify it. And it is what it is. Your risk is less because the numbers have justified the premium, whereas your risk was higher a couple months ago, definitely a couple years ago, because the numbers were not there to justify the premium. And you were kind of just hoping that it would work. And so, that's what's special about the retail community. We've been here for a long time, but if you want to buy and average up, if you have a healthy margin of safety, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, because now the numbers justify the premium. And if this company is on its S curve, which we all think it can be on over the next decade, then 26, 25, $20, $15 average, none of that shit matters when the stock's at 250, when the stock's at 175. Like, it really just doesn't matter. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but you've obviously got to be ready to DCA, because could this get a pullback another 10%? Sure. The broader market could pull back. Again, I just think it's harder for the broader market to pull back, because on a day where the S&P stayed neutral, when the Max 7 basically took a dump outside of NVIDIA, I don't know what gets the market to fall 10%. I really don't. It might have to be, CPI data, but I don't even know if CPI is going to be enough to do that. Foot Locker is a company that had earnings today. This stock is down 30%. I don't know what they said on their earnings, but who the hell shops at Foot Locker anymore? So who the hell shops at, like, it's Foot Locker. Like, if anyone shops at Foot Locker, I don't know, dude. And I'm being facetious here, but yeah, of course Foot Locker's down 30%. It's one of those retail brands, $2.28 billion company. It's like, if Macy's was down 30%, if Lowe's was down 30%, I would be concerned, because those are consumer staples. You don't want to see those go down. But Foot Locker is just another brand, So to me, nothing that excited about Foot Locker. I don't know if anyone owned Foot Locker here in the chat, but that's what we have on Foot Locker. Honest reports after the bell. Honest right now is up 20% after hours. Okay, let me pull up their earnings. Honest seems to have had a decent earnings. They're up 20% right now. Let me pull up their numbers and see what we have there. I did shop at Foot Locker when I was little. Don't get me wrong. I just don't go there anymore. Now, granted, maybe I'm not the best proxy because I don't buy shoes or like clothes or anything. Dude, this hoodie that I'm wearing right now, this hoodie is from 2017. I remember it. It's from H&M, 2017. Like, I just don't buy a lot of shit. I buy fucking Palantir. So I'm not the best gauge of this. But in general, Foot Locker's brand is not like a big brand, in my opinion, anymore. Okay, so here's Honest numbers, and we'll get to Shyam Sankar once he's on CNBC. Revenue increased 10% to 90 million. Okay, so they're up 10% year over year. That's not necessarily big growth numbers. Diapers and wipes increased 15%. This company sells a lot of stuff for babies, from my understanding. Revenue for household and wellness increased 28%. Personal care and skincare decreased 10%. Why is the stock up 23%? These numbers are not that impressive. What did they say? What did they say that's so exciting? Retail revenue decreased 3%. Digital revenue increased 28%. Net income was $1 million. Oh, they made a profit. Okay, so maybe that's why the street's excited. They made a profit. Operating expenses decreased $6 million. Gross margin was 33.5%, which is better than 27.5%. That's not that big of a gross margin expansion. They're expecting to grow revenue $344 million next year. Yeah, I don't know, dude. They're profitable. Maybe that's why the street's excited. But outside of this is Jessica Alba's company. Correct. This is Jessica Alba's company. So they're up 19%. I guess they're profitable. That's the reason, folks. I mean, that's the only reason I can think of. They are profitable right now, and that's why they continue to have some momentum. Okay, let's get a little bit of an update on what's going on in the macro with the S&P. So let's switch over here and kind of talk about how the market is reacting currently and what we just had today on the S&P 500. Palantir 2627, it's up 0.5% after hours. Here we go.
Show that incredibly consistent uptrend that we've seen. I wanted to show it to also highlight the fact that yesterday we had a 1% plus decline, one-day drop in the S&P 500. That has basically happened once a month since December. And each time the following day rebounded. And before today, all of those rebound days were at least 1%. So today was the weakest recovery attempt of all of those. And you could point out a couple of these. So here's like the February 13th, and it took you back, created this sort of shelf on the chart. It's always just sort of a check back in these uptrends to where you were like a week or a few weeks ago. And that's also what we've gotten right here. So we have flattened out a little bit. I think it makes sense to. You've seen, this 4-month sprint, only 2 down weeks since October. You have to have a breather. We'll see if it is either here or if it's just a breather, if that's what we're getting. Bonds, part of the story too. Bond yields have stayed within this range since December, since the December Fed meeting, and really have kind of rolled over again. Some of the technical work on the yields are suggesting that this is another little top here, right around that 4.3 area that was put in. We'll see if that remains to be the case, but as long as we're in this familiar zone, it seems as if equities can deal with it. And we've been seizing on some just moderately softer than expected economic data over the last 2 days. Nothing really worrisome, but enough to suggest that the Treasury market is happy enough to bet that the Fed's next move is down and that disinflationary trends remain in place. I would also point out global yields have also been on the downswing, and that's probably adding to the pressure.
That 10-year T-bill, some people might be concerned that it's above 4% because we were at 3.85 when the rally was really starting back in December. I can understand that, but based on that analysis you just saw, it seems like the market's willing to be able to reconcile the fact that we have 4% on the 10-year, and equities can still do well. And I think the reasons for that, the core justification is that AI is real. AI is producing earnings. The market wants AI. Inflation's coming down. And so, yeah, we can have a 10-year giving 4.1, 4.2, and equities can still do well, even though they've already done well, because the market doesn't really know where else to put their money. And if they don't know where else to put their money, you're not going to put it into bonds at this point. Like when Palantir goes up 10% in a day, you can't put your money in a money market fund, dude. You just can't do that. It's tough. I mean, like you can if you're really trying to preserve wealth, which is fine. And there's a whole class of, the economy, the global economy that's just trying to preserve. But for a lot of people, they're trying to grow and they're in growth mode and they're trying to at least get better than 5%, right? Palantir's up 10% in a day. You've already beat the money markets. You've beat the treasury bonds. And yeah, you took on some risk because you had to buy a company run by the CEO who will bang on the table. But then again, if you like a CEO who bangs on the table, maybe it's not a lot of risk. Maybe it's actually the least riskiest thing you can do. Palantir earnings, their next earnings will be May, most likely in May. They usually have it in May. So Q1 will be in May. And here's the thing about Q1 earnings. This is what Arnie and I were talking about on the market open. They might really crush. They might really, really crush. Again, they said they had 850 boot camps this quarter, since AIPCon started, which means they had 350 last month. We had 500 for the past 7 months before last month, which means we did 350 boot camps in a month. I mean, you put a 30% conversion on that, 20% conversion, you're going to be adding a lot more customers. Last quarter, we added 47. We have 497 in total. AIPCon tomorrow is going to be massive coverage for the company. A bunch of people across the world are going to be looking at Palantir. They're probably going to get flooded in their sales reps inboxes to want to schedule boot camps. I mean, this thing's not stopping, dude. I think $30, given the S&P is not priced in, given the Titan contract is only going to get bigger and bigger, and given that Q1 earnings maybe don't crush like an NVIDIA type of earnings crush, but they're definitely not going to do the numbers that they projected they were going to do. I think they're going to do a lot more. You could see $30 by May. I mean, that is very possible. Not to mention rate cuts haven't even started yet. And they're probably not happening till June, but the market's probably going to front run some of the companies they think are going to benefit from rate cuts. And Palantir might be one of those companies. So it's going to be really cool to see how this plays out. Okay. Ryan in the chat says, all I want for Christmas is you wearing the Palantir shirt, Amit. Ryan, you'll be happy to know. Let me take off my hoodie real quick. Give me 1 second. I am wearing Ryan's Palantir shirt. So Ryan, here we go. We got your Palantir shirt. Ryan was nice enough to send me this Palantir shirt yesterday. So thank you, Ryan, for this shirt. Ryan, I don't even know what your website is, so please put it in the chat. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. He just really wants to send me the shirt. So Ryan, put your website in the chat so people can check out your t-shirts. He has a bunch of these different t-shirts. This is awesome, dude. Thank you for the Palantir t-shirt. I officially have a Palantir logo that I can wear. I'm going to be in the gym wearing this shit. It's going to be cool, super cool. So shout out to Ryan for sending me these shirts. I don't even know where the guy's from. He's just a random good dude who makes Palantir shirts. I was like, I got to send you some shirts. I was like, all right, man, send me some shirts. So here we go. So thank you, Ryan, for that. Super, super, super awesome. And what a day to wear a Palantir shirt, dude. What a fucking day to wear a Palantir shirt. $26.37. Guys, We are up another 1% after hours. You know, everyone's going crazy over Bitcoin. You know, everyone's like going insane over Bitcoin, which like, I mean, Bitcoin's amazing. It's awesome. But like, dude, the Bitcoin's momentum has been capturing the entire news cycle basically for the past couple of days. Palantir shows up and says, hold my beer. It's at 2644. And now it's up 12% for the day. Like, that is not easy to do in a world in which most investors want to just put their money into NVIDIA. For a little company like Palantir to get national media coverage, to win a big contract, and to get investors to dump probably hundreds of millions of dollars today. Cathie Wood bought 79,000 shares yesterday, especially when Bitcoin is taken off like this. It's pretty special. It's pretty special and pretty exciting for Palantir. I'm checking on that Shyam interview. It is not here yet. It's probably going to happen in a little bit. Probably we'll have him at 4:30. So not officially here yet for that Shyam interview, but that will be happening probably. Oh, he's on CNBC right now? Okay, so I'm on CNBC. I have advertisements on CNBC right now, so I don't see Shyam yet. I have advertisements. So he's probably coming up like literally right after. Or are you guys watching a different CNBC? I'm looking at my, hold on, give me 1 second. CNBC. I'm on the same one you guys should be at. Oh, here he is. I got him. I'll start from the beginning. He just started. Here we go. He just started. Okay, here we go. We got him. Here's Shyam Sankar on CNBC, Palantir CTO, on their new Titan contract, $178 million.
Chief Technology Officer, Shyam Sankar, joins us now exclusively to discuss. Shyam, it's great to have you back on the show. Welcome.
Thanks, Morgan. Great to be back with you.
All right, so this is significant. It's meaningful for the company, as I just mentioned, this milestone of being a software company that is now prime contractor for a high-profile hardware program. What does this enable for Palantir, and how does it speak to the role that software, and particularly AI, is increasingly playing in military applications?
We've been talking for a while about how software is eating the world. I think this is a manifestation of just that here. We have a vehicle that you wouldn't traditionally associate with a software company, but we are delivering an AI-defined vehicle that's going to provide deep sensing to enable long-range precision fires. And really, this vehicle was built around the soldier to enable their workflows. And it's another manifestation of how AI is changing the face of warfare.
So Bank of America today writes a note. They say, we see the win as cementing Palantir as an AI prime in the world of defense and anticipate further penetration opportunities. I wonder what this means in terms of possible future competitions from a prime perspective, but also perhaps just as importantly, given the role your technology is playing and the fact that it is now being tested and sort of seen as a gold standard, at least based on my own reporting among many senior DoD officials, as a supplier too.
Yeah, I think this is big for really two reasons. We talk about the F-35 as a flying computer. We talk about Tesla having disrupted automotive by building a software-defined vehicle. It sets a very clear path where software is the most important weapon system. It is how we deliver outsized lethality on the battlefield. And it paves a way, and this is really the second point, for the broader defense tech ecosystem. We think about the capital that's been employed here, the amount of innovations and founders that are bringing new capabilities to bear. It really shows that the department is very serious about enabling new entrants to deliver entirely new capabilities to transform the battle space.
Yeah. The defense business, or I guess I should say the government business, is still the largest for Palantir by revenue, but we know, looking at last quarter's earnings, that U.S. commercial business is just surging in terms of growth right now. Tomorrow you've got AIP Con. This is your artificial intelligence platform con, and it says in a Palantir tweet that after nearly 850 boot camps that your customers are going to show some of what they've built with AIP. The last time you and I spoke on this show, you were talking about those boot camps and how aggressively potential customers have been utilizing them. What are you seeing now? What can you preview for us ahead of this event tomorrow?
Yeah, we have over 200 customers here. I'm here in Palo Alto for the conference. We're going to have some great keynotes that'll be live streamed, customers showing what they actually built in the boot camp, how they're using this capability. We'll preview some of the latest and greatest capabilities in the platform itself. But we couldn't be more excited. Everything is accelerating around this experiential experience. You come to this boot camp, we're not talking about 8 weeks, we're talking about 8 hours, where you're going to leave with a production-ready use case that can start transforming your business. And that duality of having been inspired about the art of what's possible with AI and having delivered a use case in 8 hours, it's really fueling the growth. And you see that with the 70% growth in our US commercial business in Q4.
Shyam, I'm not deep, clearly, in the defense business like Morgan is, so I want to understand more clearly what's different about this for Palantir. And when I look at who you're bringing along with you in this Titan deal, the likes of Anduril, L3Harris, Northrop Grumman, is it sort of like when you're having your house renovated and you have a lead contractor who brings in subcontractors to get the full job done? Are you like the lead contractor here, and it's the first time a software company is serving in that kind of role?
Yes, and I would say more precisely, the entire vehicle and the capabilities of this vehicle are derived and designed around the software. And so we have a great team, the super friends here, who have enabled us to translate the software vision into the actual hardware itself and the performance and integration with the space-based sensors, terrestrial sensors, the rest of really what comprises the kill chain to deliver those long-range precision fires. And I would view this as one of the pillars of what the department calls Joint All-Domain Command and Control, JADC2, which is really the embodiment of using software to tie together your sensors and your shooters to deliver effects, to have information dominance on the battle space.
Shyam, how much better do you think you can do this than other government contractors who, at times have trouble meeting their deadlines?
Look, we feel very good about the performance and the relationship we've built with the Army on this. I think the important part is that this is a competition where there's only one winner. I don't mean the competition for the contract. I mean the context of war. And so the capabilities we hope to deliver, we think, will be decisive and tipping the scale here.
So we've got some lawmakers right now, it would seem, voting on passing another continuing resolution. We're almost 6 months into fiscal 2024 from a government standpoint. We still don't have a budget appropriated. Because you are a defense contractor, Palantir is a defense contractor, is this a situation where if it continues to go on for long enough, it could be meaningful or impactful to that part of your business?
There's no question that ongoing CRs and the lack of a budget pose challenges and headwinds here. I think I'm kind of a realist about this. We've had a CR for more or less for the last 10 years. It is a consequence of arriving at a political consensus. And really, we designed the business to the greatest extent possible around that reality, honoring that we don't have control of that. But what we do have control of is executing on the programs and delivering more and more capability to the warfighter.
Okay. Shyam Sankar, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Speaking of Congress, we got...
There you go. Shyam Sankar on CNBC basically saying we're going to really change the defense tech space, and people have no idea what's coming for defense tech, given Palantir just got one of their biggest contracts as America's first software prime. Shyam Sankar basically echoing everything that he said already, everything Palantir said in their press release. This is a very big deal. It's not easy for these contracts to get awarded. It's not about competition. It's about the United States at the end of the day winning. And in order for the United States to win against our adversaries, they need the best technology. The best technology can't be in legacy companies that have political connections. It has to be in modern software enterprises that are software first. That is what Palantir is. They are AI first. And they proved it with the DoD giving them a crap ton of money today in the context of this Titan contract. Palantir right now, after hours, guys, is up 1.76%. Obviously, a lot of investors around the entire world. It wasn't just us, the 2,000 of us that are here today. It was many, many people across the entire world were watching Shyam Sankar just talk, and they're buying his stock right now after hours. That's why you see this bad boy pumping up 2% in the after hours market, 26.63. Basically, if I'm an investor that has no exposure to Palantir, I have to be asking myself a couple questions. Number one, what are they going to unveil on AIPCon tomorrow? That's going to get the investor community even more excited. Number two, if they're going to get this defense contract, why wouldn't they get another defense contract and another defense contract? And, it's going to keep happening. Number three, if they're growing 70% in commercial, if they start getting a little bit of reacceleration in the government space, which right now is growing at like 11 to 15%, then that's going to blow the numbers out the wazoo. And number four, if the U.S. government's giving them $178 million for 2 years, eventually, what is Sweden going to give them? What is Finland going to give them? What is Lithuania going to give them? What is Poland going to give them? What is Germany and France that think they're anti-Palantir and think they have enough, European tech superstars that can build a Palantir inside of those countries, which maybe they have the talent, but they definitely don't have the regulatory frameworks to encourage that talent. When are they going to give that money to Palantir? I mean, this is a decade-long journey, guys. We have not even gotten started. We have not gotten started. And this is what I tweeted about this today. I showed Palantir stock at over the past year. It's up 240%, 217% year to date. Or sorry, not year to date, over the past year. This journey is just beginning, and obviously the stock has done very well for investors. I know a lot of people had to DCA massively over the past 2 years, but a lot of companies you DCA into, it doesn't work out, because if a company fell that badly, they fell for a reason, right? If they're not the Mag 7 and they're just some random stock that fell to like, 10, $15 billion market cap, they fell because they kind of suck as a company. Palantir, I don't think ever sucked. I think they just had a problem with their sales and marketing, and they figured that out, and the market finally got behind AI, and then Palantir capitalized on AI. Like, it was the smartest thing to do. Karp basically put the entire company's back on one freaking product, and that product is now the core driver of growth in US commercial for this company. So it has been a hell of a journey, and this journey is just getting started. I think this journey lasts for at least another decade, especially with all the contracts that are left to win. Oracle is a company that's worth $300 billion, Salesforce at $300 billion. I think Palantir is a bit more innovative than those two companies. If they can really scale, this thing can get really, really fun, and it's super cool to kind of see how this ends up playing out over the next decade. Drago says S&P is calling to apologize to Palantir. That's hilarious. Well, I actually think it's good that we didn't get into the S&P 500, because I think when we get into the S&P 500, it is going to be an event that isn't a sell the news. It's not going to be an event that's like, oh, like Decker's got into. No one cares about Decker's getting like it's going to be one of those blockbuster events where institutional ownership is going to start buying the crap out of this stock in probably the coming weeks before S&P, which we didn't see that this time, which is why a lot of us were like kind of skeptical that it would happen, even though they were eligible for it to happen. But we really didn't see that much buy side pressure. There was barely any volume the past week. And so when it happens, it's going to be a blockbuster event. It's going to be fun. It's going to be actually, causing the stock to go up. I don't think it's going to be a sell the news, because there is going to be so much pressure coming in, and then retail is going to get involved now that they get included into the S&P 500. They're going to be one of the most important 500 companies in the world. I think it's good we didn't get randomly included last Friday. I think it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. It'll take some time, and when it does happen, it's going to be fun when it actually plays out. Did Ryan put his t-shirt link in the chat? Ryan, you've been begging me to wear these t-shirts, and you didn't even put the link in the chat. We gotta get your link. Did you just send me the t-shirt because you wanted to see me on live stream wear the t-shirt? I thought you actually wanted to sell these t-shirts. We got people that want to buy the shirts. So this is a community that supports each other. Ryan, if you actually sell t-shirts, which I'm assuming you do, because I don't know why else you would send me this shirt, definitely put in the chat. Ryan here is in Palantir since $8, which is amazing. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, Ryan, if you're still here, definitely put that link in the chat and people can check out these Palantir shirts. How much is the shirt? I have no idea. I would imagine it's pretty affordable. It's probably like $20 or $15, but it's so funny because if Ryan doesn't have like a t-shirt store and he just made this for me to make this, he sent me like 5 of these. They're all different colors. So I'm assuming he has a shirt company. Like, I'm pretty sure. So I did send. When? Where did you send it, Ryan? I didn't see it. No one sees it. Did you email me or something? Did you? Yeah, I didn't get an email. Put it again. Put it in again. I don't think anyone saw it. Put it again in the chat. Put it again so people could actually see it. Ryan's increasing the price before he drops the link. Ryan's like, hold up. These motherfuckers got a stock at $26.67. They can damn sure afford a freaking t-shirt, okay? They can definitely afford a t-shirt. He's fucking price gouging it right now. Ryan, you said, yes, I did. Ryan, put the link again, because we didn't see it. Put the link again. Because I don't think anyone saw this link. No one saw it, so please make sure you put it again. Palantir right here, 26.66 after hours, up 1.87%. Robinhood down a little bit, 0.30, 16.35. Snowflake down. NVIDIA also just a monster day, dude. I mean, I don't know how to make sense of NVIDIA, but it's happening. NVIDIA keeps going up. And the way to make sense of it is that it's still kind of cheap given their growth. And I think the market says, you know what? We want AI exposure. And the only way to really get AI exposure is to bet on the granddaddy of AI, which is NVIDIA right now. Delu says in the chat, I bought Palantir on the first week after DPO. My average is $8. The reason I bought doesn't matter. What's matter now is that I did not sell. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, man. I think if you have to sell to take some profits, go right ahead. It's never bad to take some profits. I just think if you have a juicy average, you got to think twice before you sell. If you have a $12 average, $14 average, $6 average, you got to really think, do you need the money? Because you're not getting that average again. It's not happening again. It's just not happening again. So that's why it's really important. Someone had a good comment. Someone said giveaway. Ryan, do we want to do a little giveaway with your shirts? We can do a little giveaway. I can give them. You got me a. Hold on, let me get one of these. All right, so Ryan sent me a couple of these. He sent me one. He sent me an Nvidia one. These are all size medium. He sent me a Tesla one that's red, and he sent me another. Oh, he sent me an Ethereum one. Okay, so Ryan thinks my portfolio is Ethereum, Nvidia, Tesla, and Palantir. You got 2 out of 4 right. So, yeah, we could. I'd love to give these away. We got to figure out how to give these away. We got to figure this out because I would love to give it away. Ryan says he's going to email me the link. Okay, I will. I'll put the link once you email it to me. I'll put it up. So yeah, in the context of averages, dude, I definitely think that if you have a good average, you should really think twice before getting rid of this, dude. This is like Bitcoin. If you got it at 20K, 17K, 5K, like, yeah, you're sitting on a lot of gains. If your Palantir average is $7, you're sitting on a 4X right now, or close to a 4X. But I think there's just so much more room for this to go, especially in this market. I think there's a lot of room for this to go. So, I mean, look, can we get a pullback? Sure. But here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that should make everyone sleep well at night. Even if we get a pullback, doesn't matter, dude. The company's executing. I don't think anyone can tell me Palantir's egregiously overvalued. I don't think anyone can make the argument. Every street estimate, Wall Street, the big guys, said from 22 to 20 to 30, actually, because Dan Ives says 30, Mariana says 28, that it's a fair value. So at 26.59, is someone really going to say, nah, this thing's if they were growing the same they were growing 7 months ago, I would say, yes, this is like the most overvalued company in the world. They're growing more. And so the growth has changed. The numbers have changed. The company's executing. And as a result of that, I think it's hard to just make an argument that you know, they deserve to be chopped up and they're overvalued. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see how this story plays out and ultimately where it goes from there. Okay. A couple things I wanted to show you guys as well in the context of what's going on with AI. So again, what Jerome Powell said today, for those that missed this conference, he didn't say anything exciting. He just said that we're going to look at the data. That's why the market was basically able to take whatever happened and then keep going from there. Okay, here's a couple of different headlines. So breaking news. A Google engineer has just been charged with stealing Google's AI technology for a Chinese entity. Google engineer just being charged, it seems like by Google themselves, because of a potential theft of artificial intelligence. Yeah, the Department of Justice has tweeted this out right now. So it seems like it's an official source. The DOJ, Chinese national residing in California, arrested for theft of artificial intelligence-related trade secrets from Google. I'll put the link in the chat for those that want to check this out, but that is not necessarily the best for Google. Where's Google right now after hours? Google is down a little bit after hours. Nothing too crazy. Google now at 132. I think Google is probably getting to the point where, yes, it is indeed undervalued. The problem is culturally they're dealing with some stuff, and until they fix that stuff, it's going to be a little harder for the street to move on from them. But this is definitely not the best news you wanted to see today, that Google's AI is potentially being stolen in China. Now, here's the thing. Do you think we would ever get a headline that says Palantir's AI technology is being used in China or stolen or being manipulated from a Chinese person with malintentions? I don't think so, because Palantir has their shit together. And Palantir, the culture of Palantir, is not trying to be buddy-buddy with Xi Jinping. So, I mean, it just goes to show you the dichotomy that exists between a lot of these big tech companies and what's going on in the world of Palantir. So that's one of the big headlines that just dropped right now, and the market's reacting a bit to that. We had Honest earnings. They're up 20%. NYCB, again, their shares doubled somehow after they announced the $1 billion bank raise, or the capital raise. I don't know why that happened, but that did indeed happen. And that's what got the market also a bit excited that I guess NYCB is not necessarily going bankrupt. KRE, the regional banking fund, that fell a little bit today on that news. S&P right now after hours 510. SoFi is up a little bit after hours 745. SoFi was up about 2% on the day. Coinbase as well, 238. Coinbase is very close to its IPO price. Coinbase has not been close to IPO since 2020. late 2020 or early 2021, right now at 238.55. This bad boy fell all the way to 30. It's basically more than 7x from the lows. I think something very similar can happen to Robinhood, even if it's not a 7x, but I think something like a Coinbase move could happen. So Coinbase right now at 238. Again, more crypto transactions, more crypto revenue for Coinbase. Palantir 26.43 right now. Bitcoin falling just a little bit from 67 at 66,545 on the day. Amit, send the link to the shirts. Okay, let me check my email if Ryan sent it. Ryan, let's see if I have your link. If you sent the link to the shirts. Okay, here we go. I have the link. Okay, this is Ryan's link. Oh, it's pretty affordable. $20. It's not too bad. $20. There you go. All right, so this is Ryan's website. It's called Kim Lee Shop. So there you go, Kim Lee Shop. Ryan sells a bunch of these t-shirts with company logos. So check him out. Ryan, thank you for sending me a bunch of these shirts. We're going to give away these three I have. I have NVIDIA, Ethereum, and Tesla. We're going to figure out how to give these away. And we're going to give those three away as well. And I'll ship them out to anyone who wins those right now. So that is the link right here. I am medium and I'm 5'7". On a good day, I'm 5'8". But unfortunately, it's not necessarily the best day today. So it says I'm not wearing boots. So I'm 5'7". But on a day where I wear boots, I'm pushing 5'9", very close. Amit, how does medium fit you? Medium fits me great. Medium is great. Medium is absolutely great. I love medium. I mean, on a lot of shirts, I actually wear small. So medium is like more than perfect to me. So medium's good. Where is the link? Hold on. So Twitter is a different link. Let me send it on Twitter. 1 second to Twitter. I got to make sure the Twitter folks get it. So let's get Twitter people. And then we'll get this over for you guys. Okay, so Twitter chat. Twitter has to fix how we send stuff because it's not the easiest to send. Okay, here we go. I put it in the Twitter chat. There we go. All right. There we go. How about a TTCF shirt? Yeah, it's a little too soon. A little too soon on that. 94 Clips says, I love this Palantir cult. I agree as well. Look, if anyone says that the Palantir cult is like meme-ish or, I mean, dude, there was this guy on Twitter on Saturday and he basically said, he was just saying the Palantir community is yeah. He was just running his mouth and all of us engaged with his tweet knowing that he was looking for attention and he got a ton of attention on that tweet. None of us should have responded to that tweet. None of us should have actually cared, but he basically triggered us. He was like, blah, 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 blah about Palantir. And so there will be people that come out of the woodworks now to try to rain on the parade. It's just what happens. Like when people have missed the run, when people are not part of something, when people have, been poo-pooing Palantir for so long because Alex Karp is crazy or yada, yada, yada. Now they're not going to accept reality. And I'm looking at reality in the fucking face. That reality looks like $26.45 to me. But they don't want to see reality. They're going to make up any excuse they can to go against reality. And by the way, I am sympathetic to arguments about valuation. I am very sympathetic about I've made plenty of arguments around valuation. Our Palantir Weekly podcast, we've made tons of arguments around valuation. The problem is when growth actually picks up, valuation starts to matter less and valuation starts to get justified, i.e. Palantir starts to grow into the valuation. So from that perspective, I think that, the people that try to rain on the parade, that try to say it's like, it is what it is. First of all, it's an AI space. It's a market that's booming and you've got a company that's executing. If anyone can't understand that, I think there's more malintentions than actual legitimate arguments that Palantir is, bad. So also, by the way, cult stocks create the greatest returns. I think it's pretty obvious. Cult stocks create the greatest returns. Tesla is a cult stock. Google is a cult. Apple's a cult. Now, not anymore, but back in 2005, 2006, yeah, Google was a cult. Back in 2008, when the iPhone came out and everyone said the iPhone was going to fail, Apple was indeed a cult. 9 to 5 Mac, for goodness sakes. People are like, oh, you have a whole YouTube channel for Palantir. There is like 17 different websites that literally just cover Apple. This is how people build their brands and their personalities, and like they cover companies they're actually interested in, exciting, that they have content that they can speak about every single day because there's so much news that's coming out about the company. And so all these companies, in my opinion, they start off as cults and then they eventually grow in to their valuation and they exceed their valuation and the cult just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the street finally recognizes that, oh, that's one of the most premier companies that's on planet Earth. And by then investors have made plenty of return. So I think that's the same story we're going to see in the context of Palantir. Google, why is Google down? The reason Google is down is because of that Chinese news that came out. Is it really? Yeah, it's actually up after hours, so it's not down that much. But there's some breaking news here was that a Chinese resident in California has Google's AI technology that used to work at the company and potentially is giving that technology to not to benevolent actors, let's say, for China. So that's some of the news that Google's getting hit with right now. Serve says, Amit, love your show. Can you please post the spreads you took on Robinhood and Palantir as trade ideas? You said it in a video the other day, but I just don't have time to go back and find it. Okay, so on Palantir, I don't have any leaps, just shares. So I don't have any options on Palantir. On Robinhood, my core position for January 2026, I'll just show you guys it right now, is this. It's a $15, $20 spread. And so it's worth $1.60 right now. We got it for 78 cents back in December. It's currently worth $1.60 and it's up 104%. So to me, assuming Robinhood can get to $20 by 2026, I think makes a lot of sense. And so that is the spread that I did. $15, $20, you buy the 15, you sell the 20 on top of each other. And that's the spread you get. Now, another spread I got into is $22.25 for January 2025. So you can buy the 22, sell the 25 on top of that, and that creates a spread between 22 and 25. And I think that's going for like 50 cents right now. And if Robinhood can get to $25, which I think is possible by the end of by early 2025, then that's a 6x on your spread because the spread would be worth $3. The other spreads I bought, so those are the Robinhood spreads. I don't have any Palantir options or any Palantir spreads. The other spreads I bought today is a SoFi, $17, $20 spread. So this is the spread I bought on SoFi right here. I bought the $17 call. I sold the $20 call. All of this is January 2026 on top of each other. Guys, those options right now are going for 25 cents. If SoFi gets to $20, this is going to be a 13x because the spread will be worth $3. And I don't even need it to be a 13x. I'd be happy with a 2 or 3x if SoFi gets to $12 or $14 by 2026. So I think there's a lot of opportunities right now in the market. Options on Palantir are a little bit risky because Palantir's run up 50%. I really wouldn't go balls deep on options on something that's up 50%. And the reason for that is because it's just harder for it to keep running, right? It's not that it can't keep running. I think $30 is possible by the end of the year, but $40, $50, that stuff, it's just harder for that to be justified, right? The more it goes up. So if you're buying options, you really want to buy options on something. If you're not selling options, if you're buying options on an asset, you want the underlying asset to not have run up as much as it has. And SoFi has not run up as SoFi is basically at the January levels, and Robinhood is only up 70%. And I'm saying only because given the catalyst on Robinhood, and I've talked about that extensively on the channel, I think this bad boy is going to 25, especially given Coinbase did a 7x and crypto revenues are going to explode for Robinhood. And they got 3.5 billion in deposits last month, 3.8 billion in January. They had 4.6 billion in total in Q4. They've already had 7 billion this quarter, and we still have a month left. Like, I think there's a big thesis there. So that's why I'm buying options on that one. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing there. I really wouldn't buy options on Palantir because I definitely don't want to see people get smoked. If Palantir is only at $27, $28 by the end of the year, your options they're going to, the theta decay on the options is going to lead them to not, appreciate in value unless Palantir really performs over the next 2 years, which I believe it will. But I'd rather personally just have the shares when it comes to Palantir because it's not as aggressively undervalued as some of these other companies that are out there right now. Digital content says 30 this week. Look, if that AIPCon goes well, shit, that could, you never know, dude. The market can get pretty crazy. You absolutely never know. Jess has a really good question in the chat. Raytheon and Lockheed Martin have a market cap of 100 billion. Palantir has a market cap of 56 billion. Do you think they can overtake those companies? I think the answer to that question is yes. And primarily the reason I say yes is because Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, the way I understand those companies, are defense contractors, and they're pure play defense contractors. Now, Palantir is a pure play defense contractor, but 43% of the revenue is from the government. 57% is commercial. You like that math? 100 minus 43, 57. I'm talking about, and the kid knows how to do math. So 57% commercial is Palantir. I think that's going to keep growing over the next few quarters, especially if they're growing 70% year over year in US commercial. On top of that, Palantir is just offering fundamentally different products to the market. It's not just, software for defense. It's software for manufacturing. It's software for healthcare. It's software for energy. It's software for logistics. It's software for drug discovery. They're working with Novartis, the 4th largest pharmaceutical company on the planet. I mean, this is a company. The reason I got so excited about this damn company 2 years ago is because at one point I realized, well, wait a second. I think their software is literally going to be used everywhere. Like, I think that's going to happen. And now, granted, I said that was going to happen. I started buying the damn thing at $29. So I didn't have a clue about valuation. I will be I'm very honest to admit that I was buying it at $29 in 2021. It was not worth $70 billion back in 2021. Like, I was completely wrong about that. But I was not wrong about where I thought the application of the technology could go. And so far, I mean, we've got a lot to prove. But I think given what has happened over the past 2 years, Palantir has really proved that their shit's being used everywhere, and it's only going to continue to be used everywhere. And then the valuation and buying at $29 won't seem as crazy, 2 years from now, 2 years from then. So it'll be exciting. We bought before AIP as well. Yeah, I was buying it, and everyone here in the chat was primarily buying it when we only knew Foundry and Apollo. And to be honest, none of us even knew what the fuck Apollo was. We're like, Apollo? Are these guys on the moon or something? Like, what's going on? We knew what Gotham kind of was. By the way, Gotham, I checked it the other day. Gotham was actually named because of the Dark Knight, the Batman stuff. So I thought that's why they named it, but I confirmed the other day, like, that's actually why they named it that. And then we knew what Foundry was, but not that well. We had a good understanding, but not like crazy. I think in the past 2 years, with AIP coming out, we have a fundamental understanding of this company's software. Maybe we're not the most technical. Maybe we all haven't necessarily played with it, even though I've done a lot of research into LLMs, embeddings, vector databases, how this stuff RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So I've tried to study and not just repeat talking points to really understand the technology, even if I'm not literally coding. And I think, we've all made a pretty hypothetically smart, sophisticated bet that Palantir software would be used in a lot of places. And that's what we're seeing right now. And so that's the exciting world of Palantir at 2650 right now, up 1.34% after hours. Nate is making fun of my math. Hey guys, do you like my math? 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, it wasn't as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. If you say, hey, something's only 43% of revenue, you have like 0.2 milliseconds to figure out how much commercial is a percentage of revenue. And to be able to do 100 minus 43 to get to 57, you might think it's easy, okay? But it's not as easy as you think. So the fact that I was able to figure out commercial revenue within a millisecond and be accurate on that, I think that deserves a pat on the back. That's all I'm saying to say. I think that deserves a pat on the back. Floss says, Amit, UK budget today doubled money for the NHS digitization project to increase efficiencies, expansion of the FDP for Palantir. I actually saw this. Arnie tweeted about this. Let me pull up Arnie's tweet. I didn't get a chance to read this entire tweet, but I saw he tweeted about this. So yes, the NHS did put out something today. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is what's going on with the NHS. Okay, so Palantir X NHS update. Jeremy Hunt, Chancellor of the, I don't even know what that word is, unveiled a $6 billion package to modernize the NHS. Palantir, as the provider of the NHS federated data platform, could be exposed to further contract upside. Okay, so now the NHS is basically trying to unveil a £6 billion package to be able to modernize the NHS. Palantir got a £480 million deal, and they're not even getting the full £480 million. They're sharing it with a couple other consulting companies like Accenture. Yeah, maybe this does mean that the NHS sees good results from Palantir. It's so crazy we don't even talk about the NHS deal anymore. That NHS deal we were trying to get for 2 years, we finally got it, and then it just wasn't even important anymore. Like, that deal is going to be huge, dude. In 2 years, when Palantir has massively reduced wait times and backlogs in one of the largest socialized healthcare systems on the planet, which is in the UK, what do you think Canada's going to do? What do you think Brazil is going to do? All these nationalized healthcare systems, what do you think Sweden's going to do? They're going to give a call to Alex Karp and be like, can you do what you did in the UK for us? That is going to happen. And when that happens, we are going to see such an investment thesis play out to such a degree that 3 years ago, they fixed the UK system by giving them a contract for £1 back in 2019 and doing basically free labor for 3 years. They got $500 million from these guys. And then they used that $500 million to basically fix their system. And now they're expanding all across the world. I mean, it's going to be an incredibly exciting thesis when it plays out. Still, we have to see that play out. But if we were going to bet on a thesis playing out, I would bet that that actually happens and Palantir actually can execute over the long term to show that it really works. So it'll be fun. It'll be super cool. CB says that deal was exhausting. That deal was incredibly exhausting. But it was fun covering it. And that's the fun about making content about Palantir. It's like, you need a narrative. You need a story. Like, it's not fun without without a little bit of fight, right? Like if we just got everything, if everything was just given to us, it wouldn't be a journey. You know, as much as it sucked being down $50,000 for me, I know people who were down tens of millions of dollars when Palantir was at $6-7. It was kind of fun in a weird way. It was kind of like, well, I'm kind of stuck with this stupid thing, so I might as well learn more about it. All right, Karp's doing a new interview. Let's see if he can make me feel better about my bags at $6. And then Karp on the interview is like, yeah, sometimes we're undervalued, sometimes we're overvalued. Who cares? And then all of us with our $6 bags are like, motherfucker, I care. I care a lot. But at the end of the day, Karp was being Karp. And that's why Palantir is where it is today, because Karp was always being Karp. It was tough, man. 50K down. Yeah, 50K down, dude. It was tough waking up in 2022. I remember my back was messed up. So I was going to the chiropractor, and I would be at the chiropractor. I'd be waiting for them to work on my back. And literally I would be just buying like $200 here, $100, not thousands and thousands of dollars, because I did a lot of that back when it was 13 or 14. But when it got to 7 or 8 and you're literally down 50 grand, you're like, all right, I have $200. Let me just fucking pile $200 more into Palantir. You know, it's like, it gets to that point where you're just like, whatever, like, let's, you know, and it forces you to be like, well, they just got a new partnership. It's worth $115 million with the Army Vantage, December 2022. The stock's in the gutter, but I know this is a big deal. So I guess I'm just going to keep buying more, even though I know this is a big deal, but the stock's in the gut. And so it's this journey we've all been on. And it's been super fun to just kind of be here. Now, you were down 50K. Did you go all in? I think it was like, at the time, yeah, it was like at least 80% of the portfolio at the time. It was a lot, dude. It was a lot. I have more money since then, but it was a good chunk of the portfolio back then, just like sitting in Palantir. And every day I just bought more. And again, it wasn't a lot. I was buying $100-200 a day because I bought a lot of it at like I remember they dropped on Q3 2021. It went from 23 to 19, and I picked up like 2,000 shares at that. Like, you know, I was buying a lot of shit during that time. So I didn't have that much to DCA, but I just kept DCAing, and you know, it is what it is. And then it happened. But we're here now, and that's what matters. We're here now, and that's what actually does matter. KQ whoever was down 140,000. Yeah, dude. And look, that's not fun. Look, I'm joking right now, and I'm saying it's fun, but at the end of the day, being down that much money is like, that's a tough thing to look at every day. Now, granted, the whole market was down, so it's not like it was just Palantir, but still, we had to overcome that, and now we're at 2656, and it's a whole new company. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new way that the market is interpreting it. How did you get money to start investing? I just saved. I mean, I've had my own company for a long time. I have my own consulting firm. For those that don't know, it's a communications consulting firm. I teach people how to do public speaking and debate. I've done that since I was like 18 years old, since college, because I had a pretty good debate career in high school. So I just, you know, developed a little business on that. So I just saved a shit ton of money, and you know, that was where we started investing. Christina says we were down $69,000. Yeah. I mean, it was tough, right? 69,000 is not easy. Not easy. Albert says he owns 20,000 shares today. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And he was never afraid. I'm not going to lie. I was definitely afraid at one point. I was like, dude, what if I was totally fucking wrong about this? But then you see a deal come out every single day, and you're like, wait a second. Like, this is, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going down with the fucking ship if I'm wrong, because I'm not letting this. I'm not seeing all these deals and saying that I'm the one who's wrong. The market's wrong here. It's not me. It's got to be fucking Mr. Market. So it's cool. Super, super, super cool. Let's see what else we've got going on right now in the broader market, and then I'll get you guys out of here. I haven't even noticed we've been live for an hour. Palantir right now 26.55, up 1.49%. Coinbase 238, up 10% on the day. Google down about 1% on the day. Robinhood is also down, or no, they're up after hours, 1648, about 0.49%. Nvidia, again, 889. Nvidia looks like it's ready to touch 900. And if it gets there, that's going to be incredible to see. SMCI, I didn't take a look at these guys. SMCI is at, wow, 1100. 1100 on SMCI. And that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. 1100 on SMCI. They are now in the S&P 500. And one day Palantir will be in the S&P 500 as well. The reason they're up about like 20% since last week is because they got in to the S&P 500. ARM was up about 2% on the day. SoundHound up 1.61%. I think AMD was up on today. Now, America is banning AMD's chips to China. They're doing the same thing they did with NVIDIA. That's why it was down about 4% yesterday. It's rebounded. It's up 3% today, 211 right now after hours AMD. So AMD also doing pretty good. QQQ 438 on the day, up about 0.63%. Uber as well was down about 0.57%. and the broader market in general was up. Bitcoin right now, 66,639. So falling from that 67,000 range, but still we have Bitcoin here at 66,640. What do you think about Palo Alto Networks at the current price? I'm not a fan of Palo Alto Networks just because I think if you're going to buy cybersecurity, CrowdStrike seems to be the way to go. Now, granted, CrowdStrike is up 10% of the day. It actually was up like 30%, so it took a little bit of a haircut. But I don't know Palo Alto versus CrowdStrike that well. What I do know is that in Palo Alto's earnings, they said, hey, we're seeing weaker demand from customers because they don't need cybersecurity as much. And then CrowdStrike yesterday on their earnings said, actually, customers can't get enough of cybersecurity. So either Palo Alto is lying or CrowdStrike's lying, or the demand for cybersecurity is in a totally different sort of stratosphere from company to company. And that is what's creating the differentiating moat between CrowdStrike and Palo Alto. So Nancy Pelosi, by the way, has in-the-money call options on CrowdStrike and Palo Alto. She bought a ton on Palo Alto right when it fell to 275, and she's up on those right now. And then on CrowdStrike, she bought... let me see if I can pull it up. She bought 5,000 shares of CrowdStrike back in 2020. And CrowdStrike was at $127 a share. So she's had CrowdStrike as part of her portfolio for a while. CrowdStrike is now $336. So she's basically made a triple on CrowdStrike. You got to follow Pelosi sometimes. You got to follow Pelosi. So there you go. There you go with Pelosi. All right, that's it for me, folks. Thank you all for being here. Quick announcement. I will be unveiling a piece of software that I've been working on for the past couple months. It is exclusive for the Palantir community. That will be out 10 a.m. on Friday. Please make sure to follow me on Twitter. I'll be tweeting about it, and I will be doing a live stream on the Market Open, and I'll be presenting that software to everybody. It will cost some money. It will be $42.69. LOL, we have to make it that cheap. And we have to make it that price in particular. And the reason I think it's cheap is because it's a yearly subscription, not a monthly subscription. So it's basically $3 a month. I think if you're a Palantir investor, we've been working on it for the past 5 months. It's a really, really fun piece of software. I think you're going to enjoy it. And for 2 Palantir shares, for less than 2 Palantir shares at this point, literally less than 2 Palantir shares, that's hilarious. You'll have unlimited use of the software every year. It gets updated every single day. I think if you're a Palantir junkie, you're going to be using this thing probably every week, if not every day, at least every month. And it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really, really cool. So that is my first product I am giving to the Palantir community. And it's one of my first SaaS businesses I've worked on. And it's also one of those things where I'm like, look, if I'm going to build a product, I want it to be really cool. I want it to be really fucking cheap. I think at $42 per year, it is very cheap for the value it'll provide. And hopefully people will see some value in it. So will be super fun. We'll launch that on Friday. Tomorrow, AIPCon. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Make sure you have some juice. Make sure you have some lunch. Make sure you are here. We will be here. AIPCon for Palantir. We will be looking at all the new stuff they're talking about. The headline on AIP is space-time compression. So it seems like they're going to be doing some wacky stuff in space. It's going to be some crazy shit with their software, Meta Constellation, whatever it is. It's going to be very, very fun and super, super exciting. It will be 2 hours from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, and I will be here live. Alex says, how much a month again? It's a yearly subscription, so you don't have to worry about a monthly fee, but if you divide it by 12, it's $3.50 a month. So I think it will be relatively cheap for people, but I don't want people to buy it because it's cheap. I want people to buy it because it's cheap and they actually find value. I just want to make it super cheap so that it's not something that's going to break the bank. It's not some $500 course or any stupid thing. Like it's a simple tech product that I think people will like, and hopefully it's cheap enough for people to get excited to use it. Has Carp tried your software? No, but okay, let me just say this because people probably know this already, but I have some decent information from my sources that Alex Karp knows who I am. Let's just say that. I have some pretty damn good DD that Dr. Alex Karp, maybe he's watching this right now. He probably knows who I am. And so he doesn't know what my software is. He's definitely going to use it because when he gets his hands on it, he's going to be like, what the fuck? This is crazy. And I have the sickest .ai name on the planet for it. Now, GoDaddy tried to fuck me, and they charged me 4x more than a .com to be able to buy the domain name because they're like, oh, it's .ai, so we're going to price gouge the crap out of you. That's how you know there is a AI revolution coming. If GoDaddy, the website broker, is monetizing AI by charging 4x what a .com costs because of AI, like like that's just like that. The AI is like oozing into everyone's earnings. GoDaddy's earnings, when they go to their investors, they're gonna be like, "Hey, this fucking schmuck paid us 4x what we usually charge because he got it the .ai." Like that's insanity. That's crazy. but it's a really fun .ai domain name, and I'm pretty sure Carp's going to see it at one point, and he's going to be like, I can't believe this guy's actually, I can't believe this guy actually built this thing, but it'll be cool. It'll be super, super fun. So yeah, that'll be on Friday. And again, AIPCon, that's going to be very exciting tomorrow. OpenAI is going to be there. 8VC is going to be there. Kaz Investments is going to be there. One of these other companies, Lowe's is going to be there. We know Palantir have been working with them. Cones Health. So it's going to be super, super, super fun to kind of see what they're going to be saying, what they're going to be talking about in terms of the use cases, and ultimately what AIP ends up looking like over the next couple of years. All right. That's it for me. The party continues on Twitter. We're going to keep analyzing more stuff throughout the entire day on Twitter. So please make sure to follow on Twitter. That's in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Being part of this community is the most fun thing in the world. Being someone who you guys look to for news, information, value, and of course, humor, entertainment, comedy is one of the most rewarding things on the planet. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. on the Market Open and 1 p.m. for AIPCon. Bye, everybody. Have a good one. Good night.